Are you living the right life? Can you question your thinking? How Socrates leads to the truth with questions. The power of questions. Imagine standing at a crossroads, facing an important decision, whether in your career, relationships, or another significant aspect of life. You feel uncertain about the right choice, and suddenly, someone asks you a simple yet profound question. Why do you really want to do this? This question forces you to pause, reflect, and examine your true motivations. But how often do we take the time to truly question our own lives? For Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers in history, this method of questioning was the key to a meaningful life. His approach, asking deep and thought-provoking questions, is not just a tool of philosophy, but a path to greater self-awareness and a deeper understanding of the world. Socrates firmly believed that without self-examination, life loses its meaning. Or as he famously said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." In this audiobook, we will explore the Socratic Method, the importance of self-knowledge, and how asking the right questions can help us grow, both as individuals and in our daily lives. Who was Socrates? Socrates, born in 469 BC in Athens, was one of the most influential figures in Western philosophy. Unlike many other thinkers, he left behind no written works. Everything we know about him comes from the writings of his students, particularly Plato. This absence of written records reflects Socrates' philosophy. Knowledge is not transmitted through dogma, but through lively dialogue and shared reflection. Socrates was renowned for his extraordinary teaching method. He did not lecture in formal schools, but engaged in conversations in the marketplaces of Athens. His goal was to make people think by asking questions that challenged their assumptions and beliefs. This approach, now known as the Socratic Method, revolutionized philosophical thinking. Although he inspired many, his relentless pursuit of truth also earned him enemies. In 399 BC, he was put on trial, accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods of Athens. Despite having the opportunity to escape execution by renouncing his philosophy, he remained true to his beliefs and drank the hemlock. This act not only made him a martyr for truth, but also a symbol of intellectual integrity. A central element of his philosophy was intellectual humility, best captured in his famous statement, "I know that I know nothing." This phrase is not an admission of ignorance, but a recognition of wisdom. It invites us to remain open to new knowledge and to constantly question our own beliefs. Socrates taught many influential students, including Plato, who later became one of the most important philosophers in history. Through Plato's writings, the philosophy of Socrates lives on, inspiring us to look at the world with open eyes and a curious mind. The Socratic Method, the path of questioning. The Socratic Method is more than just a technique. It is a philosophy of thinking. It is based on the idea that true knowledge is not acquired through passive instruction, but through questioning assumptions. Socrates believed that true wisdom lies in constantly examining our beliefs and remaining open to new insights. Instead of providing answers, Socrates asked questions, precise, challenging questions that forced his interlocutors to think more deeply. This dialogue was not a one-sided lesson, but a shared pursuit of truth. The goal was to uncover hidden contradictions and move beyond superficial assumptions. A well-known example of the Socratic Method is his question, "What is justice?" Instead of providing a definition himself, Socrates challenged his conversation partners to explain their own perspective. Through precise follow-up questions, he often revealed weaknesses or inconsistencies in their arguments. The goal was not to embarrass them, but to encourage them to critically examine their own beliefs. This method remains highly relevant today. When was the last time we truly paused to question our own views? How often do we accept simple answers without scrutinizing them? Socrates teaches us that questions are the key to deeper understanding. His approach invites us to remain curious, expand our perspectives, and dare to ask the difficult, uncomfortable questions. Because only through this self-examination can we grow and make wiser decisions. The importance of self-knowledge. For Socrates, self-knowledge was the key to a fulfilling and moral life. His famous quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living," perfectly encapsulates his philosophy. A life that is not analyzed, questioned, and reflected upon remains shallow and empty. Self-knowledge means understanding the motivations behind our actions and consciously evaluating our values. Socrates believed that only through critical self-examination can wisdom and moral development be achieved. It is about recognizing our weaknesses, but also discovering our strengths, enabling us to grow and become better individuals. A practical approach to self-examination. Inspired by Socrates, a practical way to cultivate self-awareness is to regularly question our own actions. Take time to ask yourself, why do I act the way I do? Which of my beliefs influence my decisions, and are they truly well-founded? Am I being honest with myself and with others? Through this practice, we can gain clarity about our inner motivations and act more consciously. Self-knowledge requires courage and openness, as it forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves. However, it is precisely in this honesty that the opportunity for growth lies, allowing us to shape our lives in a more meaningful and authentic way. For Socrates, self-examination was not a luxury, but a necessity, a path that leads us not only to greater self-awareness, but also to a more harmonious and virtuous life. Questions that Socrates deemed important. Socrates was known for asking fundamental and thought-provoking questions, questions that challenged those around him to reflect on their lives and beliefs. These questions were never superficial. Instead, they aimed to uncover universal truths and deeper meaning. Some of the central questions that Socrates repeatedly asked include, what is a good life? This question prompts us to reflect on what truly matters. Is it wealth, recognition, or inner contentment? For Socrates, a good life was not dependent on external circumstances, but on virtue and wisdom. What does justice mean? Socrates questioned whether justice was merely about following laws, or whether it was something deeper, a moral obligation to act fairly and respectfully toward others. What is wisdom? Socrates did not define wisdom as the accumulation of knowledge, but as the awareness of one's own ignorance. For him, true wisdom was the ability to remain open to learning and growth. Connection to the modern world. These timeless questions remain incredibly relevant today and can guide us in many aspects of life. In the workplace. What defines a good job? Is it a high salary or the fulfillment of making a positive impact? In personal relationships. What does fairness mean in friendships or partnerships? How can we treat each other with respect and justice? In self-development, how can we continue to grow while remaining honest with ourselves? By regularly asking ourselves such questions, we follow the Socratic path, a life that does not blindly conform to external circumstances or the opinions of others, but is built on conscious choices and deep understanding. Socrates teaches us that questions are not just the beginning of wisdom, but also the key to living an authentic life. The path to wisdom. Socrates teaches us that wisdom does not come from accumulating answers, but from asking the right questions, as these lead to the most meaningful answers. By questioning ourselves and the world around us, we discover new perspectives, recognize our strengths and weaknesses, and create a foundation for a more conscious and fulfilling life. To put it in Socrates' words, questions are the beginning of all wisdom. Take a moment to apply one of Socratic questioning techniques in your daily life. Reflect on, what does a good life mean to me? Orient, how do I act justly toward myself and others? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Let's discuss and learn from each other. In the next audiobook, we will explore Marcus Aurelius and the art of self-leadership. His teachings show us how to remain calm and focused in a chaotic world. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more inspiring videos. And if you're still hesitating, ask yourself, does it hurt to subscribe to this channel? Spoiler, no, it's a way to support us and bring even more wisdom into your life. Until next time, stay curious and thoughtful.